out of the second consecutive spanking between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning, because the game prior had the Toronto Maple Leafs with a convincing win. And it was almost as if Tampa was the embarrassed team. Mm-hmm. Tampa was the team prior to last night that said that we better be careful against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This team can embarrass us.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, very dangerous team. Now the opposite happened last night.
Yeah. I fall in the middle of the road on last night. I know there's some Leafs fandom people who would say that, you can't overreact. There's one-off game. Things didn't go well, whatever. Didn't have Matthews, AHL goalie net. Bleh. And then there's some people who think, oh, my God, they're going to play the Lightning. I kind of fall in the middle. Sammy said before the show, it's not nothing.
Yeah.
You don't get to say it's nothing.
I was just kind of shocked at the amount of people on Twitter and, Leaf fans in my life that were saying to me, it's a meaningless game. They've got the home ice basically clinched. Like, what do they have left to prove? It's not meaningless.
No.
You're about to play this team in a week.
Tampa intended to send a message last night, guys. Like, that was very clear. They kept the throttle down.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, they sent it.
They ran it up. They ran it up.
The biggest thing I thought the Leafs played hard. In the first period was close, right? 0-0 score after the first period.
15-8 in shots, somewhere around there. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I thought
could have been up a goal.
Yeah, played well.
2.
And couple go in, and it just kind of got away from them. Started to focus on some of that scrum stuff. I'll be honest, though, I also liked that I thought the Leafs stood up for themselves for the most part in those environments with, Cirelli was looking at, it was basically testing guys saying, who's just going to let me walk all over them? And I don't think anyone in the Leafs allowed themselves to be walked over last night.
I think physically, they got pushed.
During the game, or you mean the scrums and stuff?
No, not the scrums, just...
Tampa brought it.
Tampa Bay, to me, portrayed a much heavier game than the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Leafs, for me, and I'm with you, I'm not overselling that the Leafs are done against this team.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that at all. I think it would be a terrific series.
Yeah. I did have a moment, though, Kyper, where, like everyone talked about how the Raptors could upset the 76ers, and then you watch game one and just watch Philly like, oh, they have much better players. It was easy to see a way that Tampa Bay can turn it on with all the skill they have.
So this is where I think you just have to this is the true analysis of last night, is that I see 2 compartments, the skill and the heavy hockey. And the range that both teams have to go. And while we can sit there and say on a pure individual level, right now there's no one better at putting the puck in the net than Austin Matthews, and he leads that charge. But Tampa Bay portrayed last night for me a heavier skill set that's playoff friendly, and they've proved that the last 2 years.
Right.
And the gap between the talent level between the Leafs and Tampa is a lot more narrow than the gap between heavy hockey between Tampa and Toronto. That's my biggest concern out of last night.
Also, the Leafs dressed their biggest possible fourth line with Simmons, Clifford, and Spezza. That's as big as they can get in the fourth line. I thought those guys did their part to try to push back against that. I think then you're looking at sort of third lines because that kind of counteracts their Maroon and Belmar line. And that Ross Colton's a player. He's physical. He scored 20 goals, a couple last night. I think he's a nice player for them. Nick Paul, they moved him up the lineup, and he's another big guy that mucks it up and can contribute some offense. So they do have those guys. But this year, Kyper, I feel like Engvall and Mikheyev have been like non-factors for the Leafs in the past, right? Engvall was actually scratched for Nick Robertson in the past in the playoffs. I feel like those guys are big. They don't have nastiness, but they're big.
Yeah, and this is where nastiness is your friend in the playoffs.
100% it is.
And that's the other thing, too. And I give Clifford and Simmons a ton of credit because at least they give you a different feel. How many minutes did they play last night? And I know it was a blowout.
I don't know, but
you needed those guys on the ice to balance it.
Had that been Abruzzese and Blackwell and whatever is a fourth.
If you took out Simmons and Clifford out of that lineup, I think it gets really ugly for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I thought the Leafs didn't get embarrassed in a game they lost 8-1. And part of that was because they were able to offer at least some physical pushback. Just doing a quick check here for these guys. Yeah, they were
12
double,
minutes, 13 minutes.
Yep, Spezza was 13:45. You know,
and
so those guys had penalties too, right?
I give Engvall a ton of credit for the progress he's made this year. McCabe as well. But let's face it, they're going to beat Tampa or Boston or Florida by outskilling and outskating them. They will not be able to go in there and run people over constantly.
But that's never been it.
Like Palat can do, like Killorn can do.
Sure.
Like Anthony Cirelli can do. Like there's a long list of guys
for sure
for Tampa that can play a grinding game as well as a high-skilled game. And for the Leafs, no, they got to beat you with the skill and the speed, or else this will.
They do, Kipper, but I don't think it's that they're, like in the past that's been the case that they would have to beat you with their skill and speed, right? That's been it for years. Yeah. That's the only way they were going to win. I don't feel like they're as physically likely to wilt as they have been in the past. I feel like those guys have grown up a bit. They're older. I know they're still never going to be powerhouses, but I like that in these games, they don't seem to disappear. A lot of skill guys for the Leafs were in the garbage last night. We're, mucking it up.
And that's, Sammy, I'll bring you in on this. This is the one concern, again, if I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, is that I don't see any range for when it gets a little greasy, a little nasty. I don't see enough out of a presence of a Tavares or a Nylander. I thought Nylander was a no-show last night. That not really interested in playing in that particular game last night.
Yeah.